Begad here. Today I'm bringing you the Winchester Model 1894. And this rifle was designed by John Moses Browning. This actual example right here was made in 1907 and is chambered in 30 W.C.F, which is Winchester center fire. I'm really excited about it. I bought this just a little over a year ago. You know, I looked at it, and when I bought this was 110 years old, and now it's 111 years old. So that's definitely pretty cool. Basically, this is a lever action rifle, and you can open it right there and look down the barrel and verify that it's safe. The rifle has your tubular magazine on the bottom part, and your top barrel is obviously the barrel. And it's got a loading gate right there. So to load the rifle, you would take a round. We'll get up here close. You'll take a round, put it in a loading gate, and now you have a round in the magazine right there. There you can see your round in your action right there. Now we're chambered and we're ready to fire. And you can open it again, and it expels the empty. It's pretty simple. There's no safety on this rifle. It's pretty cut and dry, and it's not gas operated. It's a lever action. So basically, you just have a big spring in your magazine. It'll push your rounds down. You got an elevator in there that you operate with the lever, pushes it up, pulls it out, extractor, ejector, and all that stuff. And it works these things are extremely reliable and a lot of fun. So let's go ahead and get a closer look up here at the barrel. So you can see right there, it says 30 W.C.F. That stands for 30 caliber Winchester centerfire, which was later, turned into 30-30. So on the top of the barrel, next to that, you have nickel steel barrel, especially for smokeless powder. These guns were first made to fire black powder cartridges, and this one being just a couple years newer, they used a higher grade steel in it, and it was able to fire smokeless powder cartridges. Here we go. That's a cool image right there. So you can see right there, Winchester Model 1894. Trademark. Very cool. This rifle being pre-1964, this one being built in 1907, these are the best examples of these rifles. In 1964, Olin retired from Winchester repeating arms, and the quality of these things went down. They started using, they say the strength and they still work the same, but they started using casted steel parts instead of the nice billet steel, and the bluing didn't stick to them as well. And so then there was another change, I think, in 1982, and then again in maybe 92, there's a couple more changes. So the ones that you can buy prior to 1964, they call these pre-1964 guns, these are definitely the most valuable. These rifles were issued, not in large numbers, but they were issued in World War I to U.S. troops. They were also issued in World War II to Canadian troops. Canada bought, I think, 5,000 of these and issued them to some of their troops. So these rifles were produced from 1894 all the way up to 2006, and they're discontinued. But the interesting thing is, now there are companies, I believe, like Uberti and Cimarron and that Mikuri pronunciation in Japan, that are still making Winchester Model 1894 rifles. And one of the loveliest things about these rifles, and even the earlier ones like this one that was made in 1907, is that they come in all the caliber choices you can get these in. You can get these in 44-40, 32 special, I think 38-40. There's an infinite amount of calibers. These things are chambered at 45 long Colt, probably one of people's favorites. But more modernly, you could get one of these, chambered in 357 Magnum, and something like this chambered in a 357 Magnum or a 44 Magnum, I think would just be a wonderful rifle, like my Henry rifle that I have in 44 Magnum. It really complements a revolver where you can carry both types of ammunition, or if you got it chambered in 45 Colt. You were to find one, you can get an old one too that was chambered in 45 Colt, and then you could have your 6-shooter on your side, and that it's a very smart, efficient way of having a rifle, a handgun combination, because you can carry the same kind of ammo for both your firearms. As of 1983, and that's long gone, this was the #1 high-powered rifle sold in the United States. They had made over 7 million of these things. There's more 1894s than any other rifle, which is definitely pretty cool. Those have obviously become eclipsed now, I believe, by the AR-15, AK-47s. There's a bunch of rifles that have eclipsed that are centerfire rifles. The other thing that's wonderful about these rifles is how wonderful of a hunting rifle these things make. This thing shooting 30-30 is going to be a very good brush gun. You're shooting a pretty heavy bullet, not at super fast velocities, so it's going to penetrate the brush very easily, which makes for a wonderful deer gun or bear gun or moose gun or elk gun, at a reasonable range, because obviously this has iron sights. So let's touch on another thing. Because this rifle here ejects from the top and it throws the brass out up over your shoulder, the mounting a scope on these is difficult. You can mount a scope on the side of it, or else you can do like a scout rifle and mount a scope up on the barrel up here, as long as you have the eye relief for your eye. My 2 cents, I will never put a scope in this rifle. And one interesting thing enough about this rifle, I think, and I'm amazed at this, the iron sights are absolutely fantastic on this rifle. Let's see if I can line them up, but the iron sights are wonderful. And this is probably one of the best sets, most accurate sets of iron rifle sights I've ever seen on any gun. And this gun's 111 years old. They're just wonderful. As you can see, I'm pretty efficient with this rifle. It's got such nice sights on it, and the 30-30 is such a nice round. But with this 1894, I'm just ringing that steel plate, 12-incher at 50 yards in the dot here. I got my laser rangefinder, I verified it, but pretty cool. It's definitely a great shooter. As you can see, there's a pretty nice 4-shot group right there. And remember, this is standing at 50 yards. It's probably most likely how this rifle will be shot. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm pretty impressed with myself there. And then I had 1, 2 flyers down there. But, they hit this thing with some authority. Don't underestimate that 30-30, folks. So, folks, I have my top 10 list right here. I did it this morning. We're going to go ahead, and I have 10 categories right here we're going to judge this rifle by. First, I have trigger. Second, I have reliability. Third, I have self-protection. We're going to just do self-protection with 2-legged predators, not 4-legged, because there's very few people in the scheme of the firearm industry that are really in the woods looking for, bear protection or moose protection or mountain lion protection. That does happen, and this gun is excellent for all those purposes. Probably with the 30-30, you'd probably be protected against anything except for, like, if you went to Alaska, it might be a little light for, a grizzly bear or a polar bear or something that large and that aggressive, but it wouldn't be your worst choice either. So also investment grade, cool factor, versatility, go to war capability, bang for the buck value, shootability, and firepower / capacity. Let's go ahead and we'll talk about each category now. I gave this a 9 out of 10 for a trigger. The trigger is beautiful on this. It's real easy. Your hammer's cocked every time you work the lever, and it is a very sweet single action pull, and that's it. The gun's not pushing any other things or releasing things, or there's no safety on this gun to slow things up. That's it right there. So the trigger is excellent on this rifle, and it is stock and it doesn't need any work. It's beautiful, and I'm sure you can do work to it. So let's talk about reliability. These guns are excellent as far as reliability is concerned. You have a lock breech up here. When you fire this thing, all the gas in the bullet goes out the muzzle. No gas is being recirculated. It is not semi-automatic. You are providing the cycling for this rifle. So the reliability is excellent on these rifles, and it is proven. If you don't believe me, you can go back over 100 years and read many other articles. But for reliability, we're going to give this rifle a 9. I'm also going to score this rifle self-protection. I'm going to give this rifle a 6. Some people might say that's a little too high. There's better modern day offerings, let's say an AR-15 or a pistol caliber carbine that's semi-automatic that holds 30 rounds or maybe more, detachable magazines that you can change out. But I don't feel too underarmed with one of these things. Against an AR-15 with a scope on it, it's not going to be your best choice, but you're not too hindered with one of these things. If you learn how to shoot these, and these aren't too difficult to shoot because they're heavy, they don't kick very hard, and to cycle them as you've seen me shoot it, I can shoot this pretty well, and I don't have a lot of experience with these kind of lever action rifles. The magazine capacity is good. If you get one in a 44 mag or a 357 mag, these things will hold 10 rounds of ammo, maybe even more if you get one with a 26-inch barrel on it. The other nice things that I'll add about these is the magazine. Since the magazine is attached, it's a spring, it's very simple to be very difficult to wear out. Your loading gate. If you need to reload, you're just jamming rounds into the loading gate. It's not like a magazine where a magazine is going to be more difficult to load and you're going to have to separate it. So you have simplicity on this, and there is something beautiful about simplicity. Like when I drive up to Vermont, I literally sometimes I just bring my 44 mag revolver, and I'll go ahead and I'll bring my Henry Big Boy 44 mag, and I just bring one box of 44 mag, and I'm protected. I have a rifle where I can probably reach out to a couple hundred yards reasonably effectively. And I have a revolver that'll take the same ammo, and I don't need magazines. I don't need, you don't have to worry about all these complicated parts. So self-protection, we're going to give it a 6 out of 10. There are much better choices out there, but I don't feel you're underarmed, and these things are very shootable. Very nice iron sights on it too. Let's go to the next one, investment. I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10 for investment. This has got an octagon barrel on it. This is all original. These are wonderful investments. You are not going to lose money buying one of these. Make sure you don't overpay for it. You know what you're buying, but these are wonderful investment rifles, and an investment that you can use and you can shoot, and it's not going to hurt it. Just don't let them rust. Cool factor. There's a lot of lever guns around there, but this one's got an octagon barrel. It's in a cool, pretty cool chambering 30-30, and so we're going to go ahead. We're going to give it an 8 out of 10 for the cool factor. It's definitely cool, and I definitely dig it. And, with the patina on it, the history behind this thing. It's this rifle could have served in 2 different world wars, and they're definitely cool. Made in it's 111 years old. And this is still a viable rifle today. So versatility. I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. The reason I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10 is being a lever gun and not a gas operated gun. We can go ahead and shoot a multiple of different rounds through this. You can use this close range. You can put some heavy bullets in it, definitely shoot it close range, and you can get some distance on this. You could probably load it with a 150 grain bullet. This really works better with the 170s. You can use this for cowboy action shooting. You can go plinking with it. You can take it to the range, have a lot of fun. And this is an excellent hunting rifle, and I think it's pretty versatile, and it gets a 6 out of 10. Go to Warability on it. I gave it a 6.5 out of 5. The reason I probably scored it that high is for the same reason as self-protection. You're not that underarmed with this. If you learn how to work this thing, you can reload it. You don't need all these other gizmos and gazmos and magazines to support this weapon system. All you need is a box of ammo or a belt of ammo or a pouch of bullets, and you're ready to rock and roll. It's got simple iron sights on it. It's reliable. It's not going to break. And it's proven. It's been in 2 world wars. It's been people have hunted with this thing for over 100 years, and it's still here today, and people still buy these brand new, and companies still manufacture these. Parts. There's going to be parts for these rifles everywhere. These are common all over this country. Winchester Model 94s, you're going to be able to get parts just very readily. So let's go for bang for the buck. This rifle, give or take, in December of 2018, I figure is worth probably about $1,000. You're gonna have to pay $1,000 for this gun, so it costs a little bit of money, but you get a good gun for, you get a great gun for that. So you can get cheaper guns. You can get a brand new Marlin for probably $500. So the bang for the buck's gonna be a 5. Shootability. I'm gonna give this gun an 8. This is a very shootable gun. Most of these Winchester 94s are chambered in sort of like a mediocre rifle round, or some of the bigger pistol or revolver rounds that in something this size and this weight doesn't kick that hard. And this is with 30-30, this is a very comfortable shoot. You could teach if somebody can heft this gun up, 10 or 12-year-old kid, they could easily shoot this thing with a 30-30 and take game with it. So the shootability of this thing is excellent. This is a lot of fun to shoot. The only thing that's tough about it for me, and I might just not know what I'm doing, is just getting the rounds in the loading gate. But I'm sure there's some sort of a special way or trick to do that. I just haven't figured it out yet. So I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10 for shootability. Very shootable, very friendly to shoot this rifle. Last but not least, I'm going to talk about firepower and capacity. I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10 for some of the reasons I stated earlier. I believe this rifle with 30-30 will hold 7 rounds plus 1. You can get this rifle, in 30-57 or 44, it'll hold 10 rounds, maybe more. So this holds a lot of rounds. You have 10 rounds of 44 Magnum or 45 Colt on a rifle like this, you've got some pretty good firepower. You have some good knockdown power. You have some good barrier penetration. You have some good hunting power. That it's going to outsurpass even an AR-15, at close range with knockdown power. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a 6.5 out of 10. It's you still have something good, and this beats a bolt gun. Most bolt guns hold 3 or 4 rounds plus 1. You have more firepower than a bolt gun. So that will give this rifle a total score of 73 out of 100. So that makes these guns good guns. And so yeah, I'm surprised I scored this rifle as high as I did. And this is just a wonderful rifle. Your biggest drawbacks with a rifle like this would be to put a scope on it. But if I were you, do not buy a pre-1964 Winchester and put a scope on it. If you want a scope on a lever gun, you're much better off buying a Marlin where it ejects out of the side of the gun and putting a scope on the top. They work much better with scopes. But you have something like this, leave the irons on it. And as you can see from shooting it, I shoot this gun very effectively with these iron sights on it the way it is. And it's just a wonderful rifle. And just a wonderful investment too, and a wonderful piece of history. This is the oldest gun that I own, and definitely the biggest, has the most history behind it. Another John Moses Browning creation, but it just looks cool. And the other nice thing about it is you can see, just take a closer look at it, the fit and finish of this, just how nicely the metal fits into the wood. And I've got a couple screws up here I have to replace. This rear stock is just a touch loose on it. The fore end's a little loose, but as you can see from looking at this rifle, it's well worn here. So this rifle was probably hunted with a lot and carried right like this, probably for many years, and who knows, but it balances perfect like that. So more I shoot this gun, and I haven't shot it too much. I think I've brought it out 3 or 4 times, but it's just a wonderful shooter, and it's a lot of fun. And it complements my big boy well. It makes me appreciate the big boy, because I really like the Henry big boy, because I have 2 44 mag revolvers now. The big boy's a 44, so it just makes such a nice gun. And I see a lot of ads, especially when I'm in Vermont in the winter, a lot of lever guns up in Vermont, because they're great hunting rifles, especially in the Northeast. On the Wikipedia page, it talks about how popular these are in 30-30 than Model 94s to hunt in the Northeast, because most of our shots are in the woods, and it's at close range, less than 100 yards. You don't need a scope. You're fine with these rifles and pretty much everything they're chambered in to go deer hunting with one of these. So a lot of things I've read, it says a Model 94 with a 30-30 is taking more deer than any other rifle out there. And a lot of people look at Arms List a lot. They bag on, they'll put up a gun for sale, and they're like, don't offer me any lever action rifles. And interestingly enough, my brother Scott is going deer hunting this winter, and he was like, Ed, I need to borrow a rifle. And he was first talking about getting a slug barrel for his Versamax, and those things were $300. And I was like, forget that. I'm like, that's a waste of money. And I'm like, you're going to go upstate, you're not going on Long Island, hunt them with a rifle. You have a rifle is a much better platform to go hunting with for four-legged critters than a shotgun with a slug. Slugs are very good, but they're not as accurate as a rifle. And you can get a rifle to shoot softer than a 12 gauge with a slug in it, so it's more pleasurable to shoot. You have a higher shootability factor with. So he asked me to borrow a rifle for the winter to go hunting deer with a friend of his in upstate New York, and he's like, listen, I don't want any of your lever guns. I don't need any of those. And I'm like, listen, my lever guns, either one of them would just be fine for what you're doing. You're going to be in the woods. And he's just like, I want your 30-06. Give me your Remington 700. So here he's got this hunting rifle that's got a 3x9 scope on it. That's 3 power. You can handhold it, but it's not the easiest thing. You really want to lean it against a tree or some sort of a support to take some of the wobble with that 3X on it. Doable, but not as easy as with iron sights or, you know, maybe a 2X magnification. But it was funny, he wanted nothing to do with these lever guns. And I know so many of the younger generation that just looks at these things and like, oh, they're cool, they're cowboy guns, and, you know, they're 100 years old, and who cares about those things? But I don't think these are so bad, and I don't think if this is the only gun you have, that you're underarmed, you know, and for like a go-to-war situation, or if you're underarmed for, you know, modern day hunt. So they might laugh at you, but who cares? Learn how to shoot it. Learn how to work that lever. You know, well, I do a pretty good job, and I do not have a lot of experience with these, and these are very shootable and very usable, and these, you know, they're interesting guns, and you know, they still have a good place in modern day society. And the other thing I like about these lever guns is their ability to handle large cartridges. Like if you want to shoot a 45-70 or a 444 Marlin or something like that, and want a big, like, head, let's say you're going hog hunting, you're shooting really big hogs, you're going elk hunting at close ranges. These guns, probably not the Winchesters, you probably want to look for more for the Marlins or the Henrys. I think Winchester makes a maybe in 1895, or somebody can help me out there and post in the comments. Winchester did make one model that was larger than this that I think shot 45-70s. Another wonderful concept for a lever gun is to have a lever gun that shoots a very large round. There's one company out there, it's a custom company, and they're expensive, that makes lever guns, and they're making them chambered now for the 460 and 500 Smith & Wesson Magnum guns. And I think it was called maybe Spikes or something like that, I can't remember. But they were expensive. They were almost $3,000. Hickok 45's got a review of one, I think, that was chambered in 500 Smith & Wesson Magnum. And I think those are absolutely, that's a wonderful idea, because you can hand load for those and tailor your load, big and small, whatever you want. And since it's lever action, it doesn't need a gas system. If it's light, it'll chamber just as good as a heavy one will and cycle through the gun. Folks, I want to thank you for watching. And, you know, I'm really happy to bring this 1894 to you folks. And as you can see, I did the shooting up in Vermont, and I'm back home here in Eastern Long Island, New York, where I can't shoot a rifle, centerfire rifle, except for at a range. So those make very boring gun review videos. But, you know, feel free, if you have any questions, post them below. If you like this video, feel free to give me a thumbs up. And, you know, most important thing is, you people that don't like, you know, lever action rifles, just look past them. Really think about what you're doing. If you need to shoot 300, 400, 500 yards for a target, that's fun, and I do that too. As you know, I have lots of scope rifles, and I love my scope rifles. But, you know, get a lever action gun if you can afford more than one gun, and these are wonderful. You can hit targets, learn how to shoot it, and you can operate these things pretty quickly and load them pretty quickly if you practice. And they are nice shooters, and the sights in these are very nice. But thanks for watching, folks.